How's it going, everyone? I'm Joshua Tigas, and thank you for listening to The Positive Point, a podcast where I try to shed some light into your world. On this week's episode, I invited another friend of mine from high school to have a conversation about a passion we both share: music. Megan Lally is one of the most bubbly, cheerful, and energetic people I have ever met. Through high school, we participated in band and choir together, and we developed this close connection where all we would do is make fun of each other. I assure you, it wasn't to be mean, it was just to give each other a hard time and provide some humor to lighten our days. As the years have gone on, she has developed an even deeper interest in music, to the point where she's studying it in college right now. I hope you're able to discover the impact that music has on our lives through this episode and relate it to your own life in some way. So, without further ado, allow yourself to escape from your life for a little while and enjoy this episode with Megan. We made it to 5. Here we are on episode 5 of The Positive Point. Megan, thank you so much for agreeing to come on.
Yeah, no problem. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so like I mentioned in the intro, Megan and I have kind of an interesting friendship, you can put it that way. It's kind of all started in high school with our involvement in the fine arts, more specifically the music department. Like last year in band, we sat right next to each other, and all we do is give each other a hard time. So that was always kind of a highlight to my day.
Yeah, it was always the best part to start the day by making fun of Josh.
It really lightened the mood. You know, band was the first class of the day, so it was something to look forward to, especially with music and stuff. And that's the whole point of this episode, is to talk about the power that music has in our lives. So our friendship really started with music, you could say,
Yeah. Well,
with
yeah.
band and choir in high school.
Yeah, because we would always, okay, so I would say we probably really weren't as close of friends in like freshman and sophomore year. It really started junior year homecoming. That's where it all started.
Yeah, there is
And
a big backstory behind that. So it is a big backstory. It sounds horrible, and I apologize for how this is going to sound, but just know that Megan and I are joking in this way, and it just kind of came out the way it came out. So for homecoming, we had themes for every day back in high school, and you dress up according to that theme. And I think I don't remember what day it was, but it was like color
it
day.
was, yeah, it was the color day. So everybody, like the sophomore or the seniors, it was blue. Juniors, it was green. Freshman it's pink, and freshman it's purple, and it's sophomores it's pink, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Our color was green though.
Yeah, so me being the hunter I am, I dressed up in all camo and came to school and whatnot. And then it was right after lunch. We were going to grab our books from the choir room. And I don't know how it started, but you said,
Your
Josh,
camo
your
doesn't
camo
match.
doesn't match. And then I just turned and I don't know why it came out. It just kind of came out. And I said, you don't matter. And it was in such a joking way. I know that sounds horrible, and I don't mean for it to sound that way, but Megan knew right away that I was joking, and it just kind of became our little thing.
Yeah, like you would always just we'd always like anytime I'd like say something to you, you'd just turn to me and be like, well, you don't matter. So
Yeah.
I still remember, like, it was like, I think that night you texted me, you're like, hey, just so you know, I'm joking, you do matter, like, you are. And I'm like, no, I got that.
Yeah, but it's just kind of the way it came out, and that basically sums up our friendship. Is how we'd always make fun of each other, and it'd just really be the top of our heads, whatever we said, we said. But to bring this full circle, it all started with music.
Yes.
And we really got connected in that way, and that's how our friendship flourished. And that's what I want to accomplish with this episode, is to show the power that music has, not only to build friendships, but in your own personal life, what it can do for you. So we mentioned how we were already involved in music. So Megan, I'm curious, how did you get interested and involved in music?
Okay, so this might honestly really, really sound silly. Back when I was in like third, fourth, and fifth grade, they had a show choir at my old elementary school for when you are in sixth grade. And I didn't make it to sixth grade at the school because I transitioned to Kemper, but I was really excited to go out for this. So me and my friends all were like, we're gonna like make sure that like we stand out and they're gonna want us when we get up to that point. So we started where we would sing a cappella on the playground Taylor Swift songs. And so we would just like jam out to some Taylor Swift songs, and each of us had like a little part that we do, and it was a lot of fun. And then we decided to start doing it for talent shows because our school, every on the last day of school, we always had a talent show. So one year I brought up I had this little purple guitar and I went up and I didn't have a song in mind. I just went up there, played, and started singing. Probably was the stupidest thing ever, but I had so much fun. And then the next year I did the Taylor Swift thing with my friends. And so that's really how I got into it. That's when I decided that this is what I want to do. I want to be like more involved in this because this is fun.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, how you just in the moment did something stupid. Like that reminds me of things that I've done when I was little. Growing up, I was first kind of exposed to music with my mom. She'd always drive me to school, and we'd always listen to country music over the local radio. And that's really where I was first exposed to music, and her favorite artist is Tim McGraw. And I always remember growing up, I there's this one picture that my mom took of me of when I think I was like 3 or 4 years old. I was standing in the middle of our driveway and I was singing into the like nozzle for our garden hose, using that as like a microphone, singing Tim McGraw songs. Music just allows you to escape from everything else and just be who you truly are.
Yeah, me and my cousins also, like another thing that really brought me into it, me and my cousins, my grandma had this really old computer that's like, it's like super old. And she got rid of it a couple of years ago, which made me really sad. But on it, they had a bunch of Tim McGraw, old Carrie Underwood, like a bunch of those Johnny Cash, like those old country artists, and we just blare them at like as loud as we can, and we jump on the bed and just like sing it at the top of our lungs, just having a blast. We were insane as children.
Yeah, but growing up, that's how I was first kind of exposed to music and developed that love for it, was because it allowed me to like let loose and let my true inner self shine. And then it got to fifth grade when I was able to like actually participate in music for once. I was able to join band then, and I started playing the trumpet, and here I am now playing trumpet at the collegiate level and everything. And then also sixth grade, with choir, joining choir and just sticking with that all the way through high school. It was really that first exposure that I found like, hey, this allows me to like be who I truly am. And then it just developed into me loving music and eventually participating in it, making music. Through that participation in the music in like fifth and sixth grade and all the way through high school and stuff, I found the power in like making noise and like the joy in turning what people see as like spots of ink on a sheet of paper into something powerful that can move people to tears. Like we've talked about the joys of music, how we're able to let loose, but music also has another power behind it of letting those emotions come to you.
When I remember my uncle died when I was in first grade. And I still, every time I hear the songs, like my grandma or somebody in my family made like a CD of a bunch of pictures and it has like some music going by around it. And one of the songs is Time of Your Life by Green Day. And every time I hear that song, I cry. It doesn't matter where I am, I could be in the middle of public and I will start crying because it hits something like you'd never think that like songs could have memories like that, but it does. It's insane to me. I don't know. I don't know how to exactly explain what I'm trying to say, but it's just they have a power behind it that you wouldn't expect it to have. You could be walking down the street hearing a song one day, and the next thing you know, that song will have an important part in your future.
Exactly. Yeah. I love that you brought that up, how songs bring memories back to us, because I know I have those songs in my life too that when I hear it, I'm instantly taken to a specific place in my life that I didn't know that song was going to take me to. Like there's emotional times where songs take me back to really tough times in my life. There's happy songs that take me back to the best times in my life. That's really the power of music. It has that influence to bring you back to those times in your life.
Every time I hear Some Nights, all I can think about is Boston Trip.
Yeah, I oh man, that song. It was it was something. It got to the point where I'm tired of hearing that song now, but
But every time you hear it, you can't help but sing it.
exactly, yup. It takes me right back to being on that plane right before we walked off, having to sing it for everyone on board.
I have so many songs that like every time I think of them, all I can think about is like school, singing in choir. Like a lot of church songs, that's all I can think about anymore. There's remember, was it You and Me who were independent our
Yes.
junior year?
Yeah.
Yes. I can't remember the name of the song, but it's one of the gospel songs that we sang for that one. Anytime I hear that song in church or anything, that's all I can think about is in that practice room with you and me and Mr. Wicker singing that song. I don't know why, but that is all I can think about.
Yep. Yeah, but music, as we've kind of hinted at, has played a key part in our lives. I know it has in mine, how it's gotten us through tough times and provided an escape to give us the feeling that everything's eventually going to be all right.
Music was always a nice break in the day for me. It was a good way for me to start out my day because we always had band right in the morning. And then we always had choir in the middle of the day. And so in the morning, it was just a nice, it was more, it wasn't really the music that made it, but it was the fact that we were there with all of our friends. And then in the middle of the day, it was the music because of the fact that I could express myself in a way that I enjoyed doing it, and it gave me that mental break of the day where I can just sit down, figure out what else I'm doing for the day, and I don't have to worry about those tests or quizzes or anything else going on. I could just relax.
Exactly. That was one of the highlights of my day too. It was having that break, like you said, in the middle of the day with like chorus. It really was a break for us because that music allows you to escape from everything else that's going in on in your life.
I mean, there was always a little bit of drama, but it always like as soon as we opened our mouths and started singing, it didn't matter anymore. We would have those little breaks of tension, but then as soon as we got to singing, it all went away.
And that's even with listening to songs on the radio or songs that you've downloaded on your phone. They do just that too. They give you that escape that you need when things become too much.
Yeah, I have this playlist of like really like songs I consider to pump me up that I always play after work because after work I always feel so like uptight and stressed. So on my drive back to the dorm or when I lived in Iowa on the way back to my house, I just jam out to this music to help me just relax and take a deep breath.
And there's specific songs too that we've kind of hinted at also that bring out certain emotions. Like I know I've read countless stories on how the song Fight Song has helped so many people through so many different terrible situations.
Yeah, and I remember Mr. Wicker like stopping us in the middle of class just to read out some of them and how amazing it is that people when they were like going through cancer treatments and stuff like that, they listen to the song and that's what gives them the strength to continue going. Like if it wasn't for that specific song, maybe they still could have gotten out of it, but it just helps. It makes people feel more in control of their emotions and more in control of what's going on around them.
Yeah, it gives hope to people when they feel like none can be found. And for those who don't know, last year in chorus, Megan and I, since we were seniors, we sang Fight Song for our spring concert, and it was in the middle of March when we sang that. And little did we know that it was gonna be the very last song that we were gonna sing as high school choir members.
Yeah.
And thinking back now, that is really like an eye-opening like Fight Song was the last song we sang before quarantine.
It's amazing. Everything happens for a reason. Literally,
Exactly.
everything is in a way that it like that is crazy. I guess I never really thought about that either, but that is the last song we sang before everything went down.
Yeah, before it seemed like the whole world shut down. But it just shows how everything does happen for a reason in that music can open you up to those reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking this class. It's called Media and Society. And one chapter that we just got done covering about 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was about sound recording and music. And the thing that it really talked about was how music has influenced our culture. We were assigned an artist, and I got Chuck Berry, and I had to research how he influenced society through his music. And it was really interesting to see how he was like the father of rock and roll, and he developed this new, basically, sound that people could hear and captivated audiences really all around the world.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that even people today, like you'd think, oh, every type of music style that's ever going to be out there is out there already. No, people are coming up with new ones every single day, either mixtures or even just like brand new music styles that nobody's ever heard of before. It's still going on.
Yeah, and music is constantly evolving, like you've said, and everything. And it's really to fit what we're experiencing in society today. There's a lot of artists who are influenced by what's going on in the world today, or that are influencing what we're talking about.
No, like even there's been so many songs that have come out on quarantine that are there to help with people like who are struggling with it, because I know a lot of people have been struggling with this. And I know personally for me it was a struggle not only with quarantine but also the whole moving to college process. It made it a little bit no, a lot more stressful for me because of the fact that I can't have anybody come visit me in my dorm room. I have to go visit them other places. So if my parents are in town, I have to go somewhere else. So it's those kinds of that kind of music that really just makes me feel a lot better about the whole transitioning thing and the whole this just how hard it's been with quarantine. I mean, me and my roommate, we wake up to disco every single morning because her Alexa, that's what it's set on. It plays Dancing Queen, 6 o'clock in the morning, super loud. I fell out of my bed this morning because it scared me. My bed's lofted. So it's been making everything so much lighter and so much easier with everything going on.
Yeah, and that is the power of music. It helps people through those situations, whether they're having the best time of their life or going through one of the toughest times in their life. There is a song out there that they can connect to and really help them through that time and give them the perspective that they need. So you've talked about how you've grown up loving music and how it's something that you've developed a big interest into, and now it has developed into you studying music in college. So I'm really interested, what's your goals in the future with your education or with music in general?
Okay, so I really want to become a music teacher because, well, number one, I've always been told ever since even I was little that I'd make a really nice teacher. So that's kind of where that blossomed out of because I'm really good with children and stuff like that. But on the music side of it, I specifically chose music because number one is something I'm super passionate about. And number two, I was always that really weird outgoing kid. Like, there's always that one kid who is like a little off and you kind of are like, well, you're interesting, but at the same time, they're super outgoing and super in your face about everything that they do. And I was always that way. But I always, especially when I was little, not so much in high school and stuff like that, but I hung out with people who were super shy and super reserved. And I always found that through music, it really brought out them and it made them more comfortable with what was going on and more comfortable with becoming the person that they are supposed to be and becoming who they want to show the world. My best friend Chloe always was super shy, super reserved, not very cool, like in everything. She was always there, just didn't have a whole lot to add to the conversation until you got music involved. Then she was all in there. She was talking to everybody, being super active in the conversation. So I want to help bring that to some children's lives, especially being as today's world, it's very scary out there. And a lot of kids are getting the effect of that, especially now, which I know it's probably not going to be like it is now. It could either get better or worse. But I want to help children who are having trouble embracing who they are and showing who they are. I want to help them be able to do that the way that I did and the way that I've seen friends and family members do that. I come from a family who one side was super involved in music and one was super involved in farming. So it was kind of a one or the other kind of thing. And I floated more towards the music side of it because I saw that it really helped people. it gave people hope, it gave people passion, it gave people the things that they feel they're missing in life. It really helped them express that.
That is beautiful. Just to simply put it, that is the power of music. Literally, right there, that is the one thing that I wanted to accomplish in this episode. You hit it like spot on because music does pull that out of people. It pulls out who they truly are. It helps them through those tough times. So I think that's where we're going to start to wrap up this conversation is literally what you just said, the power of music. So, to transition into the present person and how we can use this to help today, I think it's really just to use music to find your escape, to find who you truly are.
Yeah, definitely. Listen to what makes you feel happy and empowered. And don't forget to even look into other people. Don't like I always fall into that loop where I'm always listening to the same artists, the same people constantly. But actually this was recently. I always listen to like Panic at the Disco, 21 Pilots, Imagine Dragons, those kinds of music. Well, when I went back to Iowa, for some reason I had this feeling deep in my soul to start listening to country music again. So I started listening to the old 2000s. I found an old 2000s playlist on Spotify and I was jamming out to some old Tim McGraw, Carrie Underwood, Taylor Swift, and I was having a blast. So don't forget, even like if you were like, oh, I probably wouldn't like that, always give it a try because you never know. You might actually find something that you like more than what you're actually listening to.
Yeah, so to wrap this up, like with all of my guests, I have to ask you, what is your favorite positivity or positive quote?
Okay, so my positivity quote is without rain, nothing grows. Learn to embrace the storms in your life. Because I know personally for me, I've had a lot of hardships, especially recently with the moving to college. I've had some family issues and like I hit a deer the other day. Like I've been having a lot of, and it's happened constantly in my life where everything just hits me all at once. I don't have like sprinkles of here and there. I have everything just punch me in the face all at once. So I've always kept that quote to my heart because I know that it is a thunderstorm, but I'll get through it and everything just it like rain's good for everything. It helps plants grow, it helps animals and stuff like that. So I know that I'll get through it and I'll grow even more in the experience.
I love that quote. I've never heard that before, but like with my quote that I mentioned last week, that kind of just hit me like a brick wall because without those tough times, we don't develop as a person. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that quote and all of your insight on music because it really shows people that music has this special power behind it that nothing else can accomplish. So I hope everyone you're able to pull something out of this episode and recognize the beauty that music has behind it. So, Megan, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation because I know I surely did. It allowed me to connect key points in my life back to music, and I recognized how influential it actually is to our lives. So, the positive point of the podcast for today has to be the beauty of music. No matter what mood you're in, music has the power to completely flip it. Listening to some of my favorite songs brings back my most cherished memories and takes me back to a simpler time in life. Music helps us mourn. It helps us feel relaxed. It helps us rejoice. And it even motivates us. With the beauty of the internet, we have access to millions upon millions of songs that can give us the hope when none seems to be found, the comforting when life becomes too much, and the happiness when everything falls into place. It can take you to a faraway land where your imagination is free to roam and provide you with the escape that you need. The song that you're hearing right now behind me is titled Brighter Future, and it gives me the feeling of just that. The first time I heard this, I couldn't help but let out a big old smile on my face. For some reason, it makes me feel all happy and gives me the reassurance that everything is going to be alright. The future is going to be bright. It's hard to explain the impact that music has had on my life, but I can guarantee you that each and every one of us holds a song close to our hearts. Maybe it was the one thing that got you through the toughest part in your life. Maybe it was the song that connected you to someone who has played a key role in your life. Or maybe it's a song that reminds you of someone who is no longer with us. Simply hearing these songs and the beats that come along with them can move us to tears. Tears of happiness, tears of sadness, or tears of hopefulness. Music fulfills the feelings that we are currently experiencing, but it also fulfills the ones we're striving to get. No matter what emotions you're experiencing, there's a good chance you can find a song that connects directly to your life. Sometimes life can become too much, but just as every person needs, music allows us to escape and find the beauty within our hearts. Today I challenge you to listen to the one song that you hold close. I know we all have it. For me, it's the song Watching You by Rodney Atkins. Growing up, that was my dad and I's song. Whenever it would come on, we would, and still do, stop whatever we're doing and sing it to each other. Just as most boys do, growing up, I wanted to be just like my dad, and this song allowed me to express it to him. As I think about this song and the memories I have with it, singing it with my dad in the car and at weddings, I can't help but get a little emotional. Tears are beginning to form in my eyes, and it's getting a little tough to get through this. But that shows just how powerful music is. Simply thinking about a song floods my mind with memories and reminds me of the people I love so dearly. So to kind of bring this full circle, I challenge you to listen to the song that brings back memories of a simpler time in your life. Music is powerful, and it brings forth memories that no other thing can discover. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and as always, feel free to DM me on Twitter at thepositivepoi2. That's the positive POI 2, or Instagram at thepositivepoint_podcast, or send an email to thepositivepointpodcast@gmail.com to share a random act of kindness or uplifting deed that you did for someone else, or they did for you. Or maybe it's something you saw someone else do for another person. Reach out to me and share the story. Who knows? Maybe you will be the next positive point of the podcast. Until next time, this is Joshua Tigas. And remember, keep it positive.